All right, welcome back to Inside the 90. Excited about today's episode and conversation with Jami. Every time that we do one of these, we started off with who we're talking to.
Yep.
And it's usually a leadership team of an organization running on EOS, and we talk about kind of the different stages they may be in. Today's a little different. We're going to open it up. This is talking to an individual and their growth. It's talking to a team. It's talking to a leadership team. Doesn't even necessarily have to be an EOS or an organization. So we're really just talking to any individual inside an organization.
Absolutely, yeah. Anyone who wants to be better, anybody who wants their team to do better. But really, this is in the idea of just the betterment of the organization and the individuals. Kolbe is just an awesome tool for that.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Kolbe. This is one of the tools in the EOS toolbox, but I'm going to lean on you because you're more of an expert in this than I am. And so first, let's just kind of open it up. And I think I'm going to need to keep you controlled during this.
Oh, yeah. This is my nerd zone, man.
Yeah. So we may be here for a couple hours kind of easily.
You want me to go deep in the well? We can talk Kolbe and Corvettes, you know?
Yes. Exactly right. Exactly right. All right, Jami. So what's Kolbe all about, and where'd you first run into it?
Yeah, so it was probably 2001, somewhere in there. It's about 25 years ago. I was running an agency. You know, my own entrepreneurial journey started younger, because I'm only 27 now. I was born doing this. But so there was a consultant named Stuart Sanders, and he was a larger in life new business coach for agencies. And he did mostly with the bigger guys, you know, the big agencies, and helped them win really big business. But he had, gotten into DISC. So back then, the DISC profile was pretty popular. And then you had, I think there were other scenarios where people were like the lion, I forget the eagle. There were some that had animals.
And then the strength finders, Clifton.
Yes.
Yep.
And so all of those were really cool to kind of just figure out team dynamics. And what he taught you was how to profile your clients and prospects so you knew what levers to lean into.
Okay.
And back then he took DISC and he actually put it in advertising terms. So you had a headline, which was dominant. You had an illustration, which was colorful. You had the logo, which was a consensus builder. And you had the body copy, which was the detail. And that just resonated with me. And we would train our account people on like, all right, well, this client is this, and how do you do that? So through the years, through that, then managing sales teams, like I had always found the ability to let people understand their profiles and strengths, and then also how do you use that in a selling situation. So from DISC, and then Enneagram came out, and then 16 personalities, like all of those things I enjoyed. And then we started running on EOS, and we got to the point where we were doing Kolbe, and we just did the leadership team first with a consultant. It was actually a strategic coach consultant that was Kolbe at the time, and walked us all through it. We did the leadership team, and I thought it was super cool, but it didn't really click. And then that within that year, I actually went to strategic coach.
So real quick, so it didn't click
for me,
for you.
I got it, but I didn't know how the team dynamic was coming out of it. And that's what I want to get to, is the power of the team dynamic.
Yes.
A lot of tools help you figure out you or help you figure out someone else, but then how do you actually engage with someone else? That's the power.
Absolutely.
So I went to strategic coach, and we had probably a 2-hour workshop on Kolbe. And that was when it really started making sense to me. And, we had a room of 40 people, and she actually said, is anyone, a high fact finder and a high quick start? There were like two of us. And you too?
Yeah, we do.
And then she was like, all right, so your team feels like you slam on the gas and then slam on the brake and slam on the gas, because it's like, let's go. And then it's like, wait, I got new information. Stop. So one of the things I've always said is context is super important. But that's the way I'm wired. I'm high information and I'm high fast, So once we understood that, then I came back to our team. And we rolled it out to everybody, and I kind of walked people through it. And so Bailey Basie was on episode 1 or 2 of Inside the 90, and we talked about this there. But Bailey and I worked really close together. But it was very it hurt me that I made her cry regularly. It really hurt me that she cried because of working with me. But really, we were so aligned on so many things. But she was a low quick start, and I was a high quick start, and that's where that tension came in. Because I would solve the problem before I would ever tell her about it, and then she would want to ask me questions, and like I'm like, no, this is like just go,
Just go.
know? And so when we broke down kind of that wall between, we started working really well together. And then I saw that as kind of like, it was almost like a magical moment. So then as I left that business.
And you would say because of the clarity that brought you.
Yes.
Like you had an objective thing to talk about.
Correct. Yeah. And I'll get to actually what is Kolbe and, what are the four indexes mean, or the modus operandi. But so I'd had that, and then I started a recruiting firm. And then what I found with hiring was that there was no common language to really get people's kind of biases and gut instincts out of the way of hiring, and really get something to where like we could get some form of the best proof we could if this person was going to be good or not. So I did go get, I got certified and went to Arizona and got the deep dive. Actually got to meet Kathy Kolbe, which is really cool, and got to really dig into everything behind it and all the research and the thinking. And it is the most powerful tool. I mean, as of this morning, before coming over here, I'm in a meeting with someone on our team, and we're diving into Kolbe and talking about how do we resolve some of the issues that we're having just looking at Kolbe itself.
All right, so let's break this down. So there's 3 types of Kolbe.
Yes.
As well. So just give us a highlight of those 3.
Yeah. So let me answer that first by saying there's 3 parts to the brain.
Okay.
So you've got the cognitive, which we would put like IQ test in that bucket. So that's intellect. And then you have the affective, and that is what people would call personality tests. So all the other tests, whether it doesn't matter if it's Myers-Briggs, DISC, all those other tests that are not an intellect test on the cognitive side are affective. But then the part of the brain that Kathy Kolbe really, through a lot of research found was the conative part of the brain. And that's your instincts. So that's where like your fight or flight instincts come from. And so a little bit of background on that, there's an assessment called the Wonderlic. I've never taken that. And I think it was used a lot in athletics and then corporate. That was Kathy Kolbe's dad. So he actually was the one who invented the Wonderlic, and I think that was the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
So she grew up, working with him from a psychological perspective in that assessment. But she always felt like that it had bias, and so she went on a 20-year journey to figure out there's got to be something that will remove bias, and that's how she ended up on this conative, and then ended up on the assessment. And the language of the assessment is pretty odd, but it was all written in the 80s, right? But it's still all the exact same. So I always tell people they're going to trust the process, trust the assessment, just go through.
Yeah.
Kathy Kolbe would say if an index ever comes back and it doesn't feel right, she'd be like, who took it? And you'd be like, well, I did. And she was like, okay, it's yours. It's like, you just got to trust it. But so those are the 3 parts of the brain. And then Kolbe has 3, they have multiple different types of combinations of assessments, but the Kolbe A, which is you as you, the Kolbe B, which is you with the expectations of yourself and your role, and then the Kolbe C, which is a role that others have expectations on without a person in it. Okay. So the Kolbe C is like the seat in an EOS perspective, right? And when you look at how to use the Kolbe A, B, and C together as 3 different tools, it is super, super powerful.
And so the way you would use the 3 different tools, Kolbe A is going to give me my assessment of myself.
Correct.
If I take the Kolbe B, it's my assessment of what I would expect in this role.
What you expect of yourself.
Yes.
In that role.
Yep. And then Kolbe C is what I would expect of somebody in this role without that person attached.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So the way we would implement that is that a manager would take a Kolbe C.
Yes.
Team members would take a Kolbe B.
Yes.
For that role, and then a Kolbe A is giving me my assessment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first assessment everyone does in Kolbe is the Kolbe A. You have to have the A to then know what you expect of yourself in the role, or why a manager expects what they do in the Kolbe C, right?
Yes.
So the Kolbe, the cool thing about the Kolbe C is it is based on the manager's expectation of that seat. So you change the manager, the expectations of the seat changes. Yeah. So I think,
and you believe that is the right way.
Absolutely.
Because that is saying, because they may have a different managerial style.
Yes.
And so their style needs to,
Yeah. So now let's break down the four MOs.
The modus operandi.
Yes. It's such a hard word for me to say.
MO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what Kolbe is doing is, I call them 4 lanes. You know, if anyone from Kolbe is listening and I butcher this, my intent is pure. But my certification is active. But so the first is fact finder, right? So that's how you receive and deliver information. The second is follow through, which is your need for rules and order. The third is quick start, which is your risk tolerance. And then the fourth is called implementer. Nothing to do with EOS. This term was in use before EOS, so a lot of people confuse that.
Yes.
But implementer, the best way to describe it is people who really need hands-on physical implements.
Yeah, like tactile.
Tactile. And so I would say, I want my orthopedic surgeon to have a high implementer, right?
Yes.
Fine-tune work with his hands doing surgery on my knee or whatever.
Yes.
Like that, you want that person to have that. When you really think about the trades and skilled work, craftsmanship, like carpentry stuff, like you're going to see that implementer starts kicking.
So
in.
does that implementer, you want to go each one?
Yeah, we can go through.
Yeah. So real quick, I have a quick question about the implementer. In that implementer side, would it be even hands-on keyboard, like being a software developer?
So in that, where that falls into is implementer is there is a need for quality and physical proof.
Okay.
So like QA,
yes,
like that's a part. Quality assurance is definitely a high implementer.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think usually, like I have 2 friends that are both crazy good creatives, both previous business partners, and once I got one of theirs, and he was like probably the second highest implementer I've ever seen. Like he was I think a 7 or an 8 in implementer, but through his career, he's now ended up being an environmental designer, and he's got a wood shop in his garage. And he's literally, when a client says, here's our logo, he's casting it in concrete, right? Like he is so physically
he's creative,
engaged.
but he's actually turning it into physical products.
Yes. And then my other friend, a previous partner who took it, I was convinced because he was equally as good as a graphic designer.
Yeah.
But he came back as a 3, which is the same for me. And when I really started thinking about it, he's never been the 3-dimensional guy.
Yeah.
Like I think like graphite and pencil and drawing is but that's not necessarily the same as physical proof.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so let's break them down. Let's go to quick start.
Yep.
So what's your quick start?
My quick start is a 7.
Yeah, mine too. 7.
Yep.
Ours are very similar.
Yeah, we're very.
So both 7s. So when you think about 2 7s in a room being quick start.
Well,
I'm sorry, not quick start. We're going the wrong one.
Yeah, let's change the order. We started on implementer, which is number 4. So let's go back to talk about fact finder first.
That's a good way to do it. So let's talk about fact finder.
Yeah.
What's your fact finder?
I'm a 7.
I'm a 7 too. it's a double 7s.
Yes,
the split 7s is a challenge. So let's jump into a fact finder. Tell me a little bit about that.
So fact finder is how you receive and deliver information. And it's important to know that the number is not a score, right? It's an index, and it makes it easy to remember. So each of these 4, if you see a Kolbe, I wish I should have just brought mine to hold it up right here, but you'll see 4 color bars. And it kind of looks like from top to bottom, like paint stripping, kind of like, how far down do they come? And just view each of those as energy in a tank, right? And it's not that you're going to run out of energy. It's how much energy does that, do you have in that tank? So when you think about fact finder, like a low fact finder, like a 1, 2, or 3, they just don't require a lot of facts. It's not that they're incapable of having facts, they just don't need them, right? Whereas when you get up to 7, 8, 9, 10, like at the higher level, that's someone who has a need for a lot of information. And in Kolbe, one of the general principles of it is that usually people initiate with 2 strengths or instincts, and then they counteract with 2.
Okay.
And you're trying to figure out like where do you initiate with versus where do you draw back.
Yeah.
So if someone is a higher, if you're a 7 or up, right, you're initiating with information. Then you go to the next one, which is follow through.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one's red, second one's blue. And in that follow through now, it's how much need do you have for process.
Right.
So like I'm a 7-4, you're a 7-3, 7-3, right? So ironically, you're the process implementer guy,
I know.
right? So, but that is both you and I.
Yeah.
Like we respect other people's frameworks, right? And we can teach other people how to think strategically and apply them, but like we can't live in doing
Correct.
the same thing over and over every day.
Yep.
So that when you think about the follow through, that's a if you're low or follow through, you just don't require process. It's not a negative. It's just you don't need it. Other people do and you don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're most likely not. You and I are not going to be super rhythmic to where like every day at 5:30 a.m. we're at the gym,
Right.
You know, and whereas my wife, amazing athlete, super disciplined. That discipline has a lot to do with that follow through. Where she's an 8, so she has rhythm. The clock is rhythm for her.
Absolutely.
And so that follow through is really that need for rules.
So for me, that's why I always have to create rules.
Yes.
So like I have like a 3-hour rule.
Yeah.
So if I'm walking out the door at 7 a.m., right, to me, I have to be up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
So because if I don't have that rule in place, like my discipline won't
Correct.
just carry through.
It's because you're low in process, you've got to have a coping mechanism.
Correct.
So like the keys come in and they go on a hook.
Yes.
Because if I don't put them on the hook, I'm not going to find my keys.
Correct.
Right?
And I actually think that's why I fell in love with EOS.
Correct. Yes.
Is because it gave me a framework and a system, but not necessarily a perfect process
Exactly.
that I have to,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like for
So
me,
boundaries almost.
yes, it gives you the rails, but it allows you to play by your own rules.
Yes.
And so like for me, like back when I was doing recruiting, like when I did the Kolbe B, like, recruiting really, I was good at it, but there were days I was just drained. And when I did the Kolbe B, it was like for a recruiter on my team working for me or for me as myself in that role, like you needed an 8 on process because everything is structured. All your data has to go and you got to get off a call, you got to plan the next one. And like doing that forever, just, it crushed my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was because I was counteracting against what the instincts of the job needed to be.
Yes.
So you take that, follow through, fact finder, follow through. Now we get to quick start.
Mm-hmm.
And quick start is that risk tolerance. And so it's easy as entrepreneurs to think that I should say, like, I know with lots of entrepreneurs, you get frustrated when people don't move fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
But entrepreneurs have a higher risk tolerance,
Yes.
right? Employees may not have that same risk tolerance. So if
They will not have that.
will not have it. Yeah. So if you're
typically.
a 1, 2, or 3 in your quick start, you're a stabilizer.
Yeah.
Right. You need managed change at best, right?
Yeah.
You prefer not much change, but you need managed change. If you're 789 or higher in quick start, you're an innovator. So, everything that's thrown at you, you have options. You're always trying to innovate, like, well, what are my options on this? I could do this, this, or this, right? Whereas a low quick start, you throw it at them, especially combine high follow through, low quick start, process is the answer.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, you throw that to me. Where does this live? What row and column does that information live in? And it's got to have a home. Whereas when you're a quick start, you're an innovator, you're solving problems, different ways at different times. And then the real identifier of a quick start is procrastination and cramming and only getting the things done when there's a deadline attached, right? So I joke about
I don't know what you mean.
I'm pretty sure all quick starts have a recurring nightmare of missing an exam that you didn't know you had in college.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But so you've got those 3 now. It's like, how do you receive and give information? What's your need for rules and order? What's your risk tolerance? And then you get to the physical proof, right?
Yes.
Which is the implementer. So we talked about that one first. But when you start breaking that down, you'd be amazed how much of your life can just live in these little 4 things that explain it all out. And for someone like you and I who initiate with a tie between fact finder and quick start, and then
it's so fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then we counteract and process and physical proof.
Yes.
Right. So like one thing Kathy Kolbe did say is she wished that she would have put them in the order of fact finder, quick start, follow through, and implementer. Because I have assessed someone who was a 5-5-5-5. And then you're like, all right, well, what does that mean? Well, but there's still an order of which your instincts kick in. And it does kick in if you're tied, then it's your fact finder, then your quick start, then your follow through, then your implementer.
Okay.
So for you and I, 2 7s, that's why it's like, if we've done it before, it's, well, one, we're comfortable winging it. So we winged it for 10,000 hours on something.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh, no question.
Throw in a new thing to wing, and we're like, stop. I got to at least understand what I'm doing before I go wing this, right? So there's those 2 levers for you and I fire back and forth like synapse, like information go.
And I know the way it feels for me is I'm either asking questions or I'm let's go.
Yes.
Asking questions or go.
Yes.
Asking questions or just go.
Yeah.
And that's how it, and even like Stacy will say that, like when she's got an idea or wants to do something, my first thing is ask questions, almost to a point where she feels like I'm questioning her.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm just trying to.
She's a 3 in fact finder.
Yes.
So she's like, I don't need these questions.
Why are you asking these questions? Yeah. She's a really high quick start.
Yeah.
And I forget what number it is, but she's low in that.
Yeah.
fact finder. And so like I'm asking her these questions because now it makes sense. I lead with that.
Yes.
If that's tied, I'm going to lead with that, and I'm going to dig in. And as soon as she's not confident in it, that's when I dig even deeper.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to jump to that quick start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Interesting.
between those 2, like we're ready to start.
Yes.
We just know, let me get these 1 or 2, 3 things answered,
100%.
and then I'm going to go.
Then I'm going to go.
Yeah. So it's like you want to move. You just got to get those few questions.
And then
answered.
that's going to help me tell which way we're going to move.
Correct.
I'm trying to figure that out
Yeah.
through those questioning.
And so I'll come back and tie this in too. But like when you're looking at the Kolbe, like another great tool to pair with it, which is from the affective side of the brain, is Working Genius.
Yes.
So because you can pair like, all right, well, if these are your instincts, now let's look at Working Genius, which I'm not certified in, but we use it for all of our hiring and team development. But that's more like, all right, are you 300,000 feet, 30,000, all the way down to like 3 inches in the bark if you're looking at the forest or the trees. And it can give you kind of like, all right, well, their instincts are this, but they're really more of an encourager of people and tenacity on getting stuff done.
Yeah, like it's the Working Genius. And I think this starts to get into the team dynamics.
Yes.
So I think we'll transition there. But the Working Genius is 6. So it's widget, so wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, tenacity.
Yes.
And so it's gonna tell us what type of work is our genius and gives us energy compared to work that drains our energy or that's really hard for us to do. It's called like a working frustration.
Yeah.
And so when you take it, it gives you 2 competencies and 2, like, I think that's what they call it, competencies.
Yes. Yeah.
No, what's the top? 2 genius.
Yeah.
2 genius, 2 competencies, 2 frustrations.
Yes.
So you can do any of them, but
Yes.
what do you want to sit in the most and gives you energy and it's a genius.
Yeah.
And so wonder is all about questioning things, thinking about the new ideas.
Blue sky thinking.
Blue sky thinking. Inventions turning that thinking into something and starting to get a little bit tangible. And then we go to discernment, saying, is it good? Is it bad? Yes, no, win, go, no go. Galvanizing is starting to get a team around it.
We're ready to go.
We're ready to go. Here we go. Now what our next few steps are. We get into enablement, which is really the next, like, okay, now I'm deploying.
Yes.
And
I'm coming along beside you.
I'm energizing.
Yes.
I'm delegating and helping. And then it's tenacity, which is the getting
checking
it
the
done,
box.
checking
That's
the
getting
box.
it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those two together are great tools.
Yeah.
And then, so the Kolbe A is, that's you as you. So we were just talking through all that. And then, but you can take that and do a Kolbe B. And so what we're doing right now in our quarterly conversations is we're doing Kolbe Bs with everybody in their role. Mm-hmm. And so they're self-assessing, what are my expectations of myself in this seat? And what happens when you get that, and you can say, this is you, and this is how you feel like you need to be in this. If you see, so an important thing is where friction comes in, is when two people have Kolbe A's and that index is more than 4. So like I'm a 7 quick start, you're a 7 quick start. If we're working with someone that's a 2 quick start, there's tension there.
So you're saying when it's 4 or more,
4 or
when
more.
it's 4?
Yeah, when it's 4 or more. So you're looking for that delta, and then that delta is where you just know that there's potential tension. The goal isn't to meet in the middle. The goal is to know what both of your strengths are, and know that. The layer I haven't talked to in Kolbe right now is the 4 to 6. Mm-hmm. So across that, the 4 to 6 are accommodators. And those, when you think about strengths, you're like, we need a team of people just like, Andrew was great at sales. We need more Andrews in the world. Well, what actually happens is you end up with what's called conative cloning. And I think that's a bias I see in people who use the non-Kolbes for hiring. Is like, we know what this person looks like. That this person was great. Find more of that person.
Yeah.
But at some point, a bunch of people doing all the same thing have no friction.
Yeah.
So the initiating quick starts need those counteracting quick starts that are stabilizers. The frustration is there. So what you need is people on your team that sit between these 4 and 6 of each of these, because if they're the bridge. They're literally like, you don't want any more questions. You have 1,000 more. You get 2 more questions. What are we going to do? Let's keep going. Right. So those accommodator numbers between 4 and 6 are super healthy on the team. Like when you really look at a team that's performing well, and this has been tested with Olympic teams and NBA teams and corporate teams, high performing, that you want to mix. You actually want 50% of your team to be in the 4 to 6 range on each of these, and you want 25 in the initiating and 25% in the counteracting, and that actually gives you a really healthy team without what we call conative cloning, which is you throw a bunch of visionaries ruling the world in, like we were talking about earlier. It's like nothing gets done. Yeah. So you have to have that tension needs to be there. It needs to be healthy. But then as you scale it out, having those accommodators, that's where real magic comes in for teams.
That's fascinating. I've never looked at it that way.
So going back to that Kolbe B, when it's you as you in that role, then if you are, for instance, let's say you do the role and it ends up saying that you need to be in, an 8 in process and a 2 in quick start, but you are actually the opposite of that. Yeah. So the role needs to initiate and counteract this way, and you're the exact opposite of that.
And that is an assessment. Kolbe B's, I'm taking that and saying, this is who I think I need to be in that role.
Yes.
But then Kolbe A is saying, this is who I actually am.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's the expectation of yourself in the role. And so that's where you start seeing the tension, and that's where burnout comes. So one of the really important things with Kolbe is the idea of stress. And stress manifests in 2 ways. Strain, which is I'm out of my strengths in my role, and tension, which is I'm not meeting the expectations that someone else has, for my role. So that's where the Kolbe B lets me self-assess and see if there's strain there. And we have a team member right now who's great team member, great at what they do, but there's a lot of strain. And we just did the B, and it's like we're restructuring some stuff because we, right person, right bus. Do we move the seat or change the definition of the seat, right? So we're looking at moving some stuff around so they can be in their zone more. And then you get to the Kolbe C, which is now my expectation of the role. And it was very interesting that 2 people took Kolbe Bs, same people doing the same job. Their expectations of themselves in the role were the same. And then my expectation matched theirs, but one of the person, they're way out of their strength. Yes. So they know they feel like they need to be operating the way that the two of us naturally do.
There's actually strain
Strain and tension.
And tension.
Yes.
Because the tension side from a manager perspective.
Yes.
But a strain from a personal
Correct.
stress and
And you can see it. Like when when you see someone's losing their energy, a lot of times you'll hear, someone's not carrying their weight, someone's zoning out, they're not getting their stuff done. And instead of pointing at, kind of picking the scab, like you can just do the assessments and see if it gives you the answer. So going back to trusting the process, the tool is there so that you can look and go, wow, this is actually, let's have a conversation about this, not about the things that are going wrong, but about this and how do we get you to where you're in your zone.
This is fascinating. So let's talk about implementation of this. Never really used anything like this in my app for myself or my team. What do I start? Kolbe A. Everybody does the Kolbe A.
Yeah.
Start to understand what Kolbe means. Start having open dialogue about Kolbes. Looking at team makeups of who's on the team. Then would you go to Kolbe B and C together?
So what I recommend usually, let's say, how many people are on your standard leadership team?
Let's go 5.
5. Okay. What I would usually do is the first person reaching out, usually visionary integrator, right?
Yeah.
I would say, let's have you take a Kolbe A and let me walk it through for you. So I'd usually start with one person. Unless they've seen the tool and, if everyone's like, we're interested, then we can do everybody together.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I want to know how this works so I can decide if I want to use this with my team or not.
Okay.
Then I'd start with 1 or 2 people. And then once you've got them and you explain it to them, then I think they can explain to the team, like, hey, we've done this. We see it's great value. We're going to do the whole leadership team. Then everybody takes the Kolbe A. And then another great thing about Kolbe is it's very affordable. So you could go to Kolbe Direct. It's $55. If you come to our site, we charge $100 because we have to license the software. What a certified consultant like myself gets is, there's only one Kolbe software, but we get access to our profiles that we created, so we can build reports and comparison and stuff. So we charge $100 for it, and then we charge $250 for a consulting fee.
Okay.
So usually you're going to find it's, if you're just going to do one, it's $350 to $500 if you want a consultant to walk you through it. But when you do a team, right, you get, you're really talking about 5 people. That's $500 for the assessment, and then a couple of hours, $750 to $1,000 to do a leadership team.
Yeah.
And that's my prices. So other consultants may have different prices. Yeah. But once you've got the belief anchored, and then you get the whole leadership team in, we will everybody do the Kolbe A and everybody do their Kolbe B. And then what I would do is you do the Kolbe A's as a workshop. You let everybody see it, you explain it, then you have them do the Kolbe B, and then I would meet with them one-on-one and talk to them about the stress and strain in their roles, or the stress, tension, and strain that they may feel there. And then when it comes to hiring, or if there's any mismatch expectations on a team, that's where you're going to apply the Kolbe C.
Yes.
And say, okay, well, let's do this so that I can understand what I expect of this role.
Yep. And that you would do either the hiring or if you feel like there's tension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would do the leadership team first. And then after that, it is best to be some form of a workshop. You don't want to give someone a Kolbe as much as you can listen to the audio, you can read the report. Yeah. Really understanding the dynamics and how it's going to drive engagement with others, you need a consultant to walk you through that. But we do full team workshops. So we can do about a 3/4 of a day workshop for a team where we actually work through many different exercises. You kind of build up to where people understand, how they use it. It's fun. It's engaging. It's like I did one for another agency for their offsite retreat. Mm-hmm. It just, it takes several days of planning, all the assessments. You come in and you walk them through a workshop.
Yeah.
But any Kolbe consultant, we use the same tools, very similar to EOS. Like the workshops are all the same.
Yeah.
So it's just facilitated differently.
I love it. Okay, I got a question I always have about these personality tests is, can they change?
Very good. Huge question there. So the retake rate, there's a statistical term for what that is. I just call it the retake rate. But of all assessments, Kolbe is in the 90% retake from ages 18 to 80. So if you take it once.
And retake, you're saying that it stays the same.
It stays the same, right? I think from a disc perspective, like disc is actually, there's no intellectual property. So you can have lots of different tools that people have built and they've stacked on top of it, and it uses the axis of, bait tasker. It's task, people, less assertive, more assertive. And I think from memory, like the retake rate is like in the 40s.
Okay.
So really when it comes to an assessment that is true, Kolbe has one of the highest, if not the highest, of any assessment.
Yeah. And that's because of the 3 brain breakdown.
Yeah. Just the part of the brain that it's assessing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, this has been fascinating. Appreciate you breaking it down. I like this style. Just look, I was taking notes this whole time.
What will Jami nerd out about?
I know. I thought it was
Next
great.
issue, we'll talk about the difference between a 71 and a 72 Corvette.
Right. Exactly right. We got to talk about golf or something I can nerd out about.
No, this is cool. And yeah, if you're interested in Kolbe, workwithwonder.com/store. So there we actually sell the assessments. And we're an agency, but we're passionate about this. So we use it in our teams, we use it with our clients, and happy to work with anyone.
And I think it's just fascinating watching you utilize the tool so strongly to the point where even in your hiring process, between Working Genius and Kolbe, because of the deep work in it, like if there's a 80% chance that this is going to work or not.
Yes.
And so just the hit rate on recruiting and hiring the right person is so much better.
Yeah, I think that's worth hitting before we close. So, going back to the idea of conative cloning, it's not that, let's just go find more Andrews. But what I've had the benefit of is, I run an agency with very specific roles.
Yeah.
I recruited in the agency world for all those specific roles. So I have assessed over 250 people.
Yeah.
So I know the ones that my agency, when I was recruiting, is called Stellar. So I know the ones who were stellar. I know the ones who got hired that were rock stars. I've worked with the rock stars, and I have them all in my database. So for us, we can be like, all right, well, who is someone that, for this role, who's the manager?
Yeah.
Who is someone that manager would say that they worked with in the past that just crushed it in this role? And then that's where we can get a Kolbe C with the manager's input. And then you can start matching in the hiring process to know, what that manager and that Kolbe C and that Kolbe A of that applicant, where they're starting to match. And we are getting, we're in a hiring process right now, and I'm sitting back going, I'm not even going to interview, and I can tell you who's going to get hired.
I love it.
I can look at Kolbe and Working Genius, and I'm like, I think I know who's going to get hired, and I think
let the process
work. And I think 6 months from now we'll be talking about how awesome it was.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Jami, well, I appreciate you sharing with us today.
It's fun stuff.
Absolutely. And we got, just in closing, we got EOS conference coming up.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be just a few weeks away.
Yeah.
So excited about that. We're going to do an Inside the 90 meetup.
We are.
Yeah, so putting the details together around that exactly, but that information will be coming out soon.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Wednesday night.
Okay.
It'll be, dinner time-ish, so, 6 to 8 type of thing. It is, follow Inside the 90 on LinkedIn. That's, and I'll subscribe to the email list. We'll get messaging out on it. But it's going to be fun. We just want to bring the community together. We've had a lot of guests on here. You've got a lot of clients. We've got a lot of friends going.
Yeah.
So we just want to take the opportunity to bring everybody together and do something fun, like maybe shoot some pool, bowling, or something like that.
Love it.
So,
looking forward to it.
All right. See y'all there.